Hey everybody, what's up? It's Jesse here from Pickle Madness, and today we're going to be taking a look at JOOLA's brand new Hyperion 3. It wasn't that long ago that JOOLA released the Hyperion C2, so you might be wondering what is different with the Hyperion 3 versus the Hyperion C2. First off, the biggest difference is the core. All of the new JOOLA Gen 3 paddles have something called a propulsion core, which is basically JOOLA's answer to the Gearbox Power Series. Like other thermoformed cores, this paddle has a layer of foam going around the perimeter. However, the propulsion core has a second layer of foam which comes around and adds a lot more power but also control at the same time. The new propulsion core allows the paddle to grab the ball a lot more like a tennis racket would. As for the actual shape of the Hyperion 3, it is the exact same as the Hyperion C2. It features the exact same stock grip tape, and it has the same carbon fiber face, JOOLA CFS or carbon friction surface. Of course, as you can see, the cosmetics are quite a bit different now with the Ben Johns version of the Hyperion in both the 16 and 14 being this neon green, whereas before the 16mm was blue and the 14mm was more of a yellowish lime green. So first we're going to talk about power, and when I'm going through this review I'm going to reference the Perseus a lot because the last review I did was on the Perseus 3. I think it's a good reference point to compare to since it is the most commonly used Gen 3 paddle today. Power of the Hyperion 3 in both the 16 and 14mm versions has no shortage of power, that's for sure. Though I do think the Perseus has an edge on the Hyperion when it comes to power. However, the Hyperion seems to have more pop. The ball will not stay on the surface of the Hyperion as long as it would with the Perseus, for example. But really, even then, there was no shortage of power with the Hyperion 3. And really, honestly, any of the JOOLA Gen 3s, thanks to the new propulsion core. The more aerodynamic shape of the Hyperion versus the Perseus allows for a bit better play at the net. Though, like I said, with power, especially on drives, you'll need to add a little more yourself. But a pro that comes with this is the Hyperion is a lot more forgiving than the Perseus when it comes to mistakes. If you accidentally hit the ball a bit too hard, it's not going to be as bad of an effect as it would be if you were using the Perseus. And for control, this paddle has great control, of course. I think the propulsion core helps a ton with the control. It allows for soft hits, soft dinks, while also allowing the player to immediately ramp up the power when they need to. And that's something that's kind of been missing with power paddles in the past. In the past, a lot of times, it's just a constant amount of power and it makes it really hard to dink or hit drop shots or reset the ball. But especially with the Hyperion 3, there's a lot more touch and feel, and it's just softer coming off when you need. And the core allows for a lot more dynamic play than most traditional power paddles do. While I do think the Gen 3 JOOLAs do edge towards more of a power series, you can actually play these as all-court paddles and not have any issues. The 14mm version of the Hyperion does have a bit more feel to the ball than the 16, and that's just because there's not as much foam and core in the paddle itself. It's also a bit lighter, with the 16s coming in at an average of 8 ounces and 14s coming in at an average of 7.8 ounces. For some players, the weight can really affect their control. The swing weight of the Hyperion also seems to be a little bit lower than the Perseus, so you're going to be able to get the paddle into position a little bit faster. But keep in mind that may mean you have to stabilize a bit more when blocking drives or other power shots. When it comes to spin, the surface is the exact same as the previous generation of the Hyperion C2. However, the propulsion core grabs the ball a little bit more. It allows for a little bit more dwell time on the surface, which in turn allows for a bit more spin. So the spin is better on the Gen 3s than the previous generation, and I think it's a little bit better for the 16mm versions than the 14mm versions of the JOOLA Gen 3 paddles. Whether the Perseus is better or the Hyperion is better, that is really up for you to decide based on your play style and the differences between these two paddles. If you're somebody who likes a little bit more room for forgiveness when playing, I think the Hyperion is a great choice. The Hyperion is also better for people who prefer quicker hands at the net and also a little more pop at the net. If you'd like to get a Hyperion 3 from yourself, you can do so from picklemadness.com. Check the link in the description below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.